What is our independent variable? Our independent variable is the bit that we change. Our dependent variable is the bit that we measure. Control variables are the bit we keep the same. The range is the lowest value to the highest value. And this is not maths, so we do not take them away. I want to see something that says 10 centimetres to 70 centimetres. The answer is not 60 centimetres, and you have to include your units. The interval is the gap between the different measurements. So for example, if you're taking measurements at 10 centimetres, 20 centimetres and 30 centimetres, the interval would be 10 centimetres. So this is the gap, and again we need units. Right, so that's the technical experimental stuff out of the way, and now to move on to the biology. Why do animals need to detect changes in their environment? This is so they can respond to the changes and to danger. What is an adaptation? An adaptation is something that happens gradually over time and is in response to the environment, so they become better suited to the environment. Give 3 adaptations that are seen in animals. Now there are loads and loads you can have here. So for example, camels have humps which are full of fat, which means they can stay hydrated for longer. We can have fur, we can have things like fur colour, tails, feet, all of these are adaptations. Adaptations that are seen in plants are, again, like the camels, we're going to have cactuses that store water. They can have specialist types of roots. They can have long, deep roots, or they can have very shallow, wide roots, and they might have thorns to stop them being eaten. Antibiotics are medication that kill bacteria. And it is bacteria only. Antibiotics will not kill viruses. Vaccines are something that encourages your body to make antibodies. And thalidomide can be used now to treat leprosy, which is a rather nasty thing. It was first, when it first came out, it was used to treat morning sickness. Asexual reproduction is new organisms being produced that are identical to the parents. An example of asexual reproduction would be plants sending out runners or taking cuttings. And by runners, I mean things like strawberry plants are going to send out, where they just send out a little shoot, and then the shoot gets roots, and we can then we can see new plants being formed. And lastly, for this phase, sexual reproduction is the fusion of gametes, and these are sex cells. So the offspring is not identical to parents. Here's our next set. A carcinogen is something that causes cancer. Cholesterol is a fatty substance which is found in the body. Cholesterol is made in the liver. Bad cholesterol is LDL, and this is low density lipoproteins. Bad cholesterol, it kind of clogs everything up, and you don't want things clogged up because you want your heart and your blood to be able to flow, and this can lead to heart disease. Good cholesterol is HDL, and this is high density lipoproteins. Chromosomes are coils of DNA that are found in the nucleus. And a human skin cell will have 46, that is diploid, and a human sex cell will have 23, that is haploid. DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. And what this does is holds all of the genetic information for the cell. What happens when something is decomposing? Decomposing just means breaking down. Drugs are a chemical that can change the way the body works. And drug trials are needed to test things like dosage, side effects, and efficiency. We need to know about side effects to actually make sure the drug is safe, and to make sure that the side effects aren't worse than the actual disease. You wouldn't want to take a painkiller to cure a headache if it then meant your leg fell off. A stimulus, slightly changing topic here, a stimulus is a change to the environment. Here is set number 3. So starting off with, what is an effector? An effector is something that produces a response to a stimulus. And a receptor is going to be a sense organ. A reflex is going to be an involuntary action that you can't control. An embryo is a ball of cells that hopefully will eventually turn into a baby. An embryo should be placed in the uterus. A fetus is an unborn baby. Enzymes are biological catalysts that break things down. And to evolve means to gradually change over time. If a species has gone extinct, it means it has died out. A mutation is a change in the genes. And natural selection is the ability of the best suited organism to survive the environment. There you go. Menstrual cycle is a cycle of hormones that happen every month in a woman. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. FSH stimulates the ovaries to produce estrogen. And it is produced in the pituitary gland. Just about halfway through now. What is LH? LH is luteinizing hormone. And that will stimulate the release of an egg. LH is also produced in the pituitary glands. Estrogen will slow down the production of FSH. And stimulates LH production. Estrogen is produced in the ovaries. And the ovaries mature and release eggs. Progesterone maintains the lining of the uterus. And progesterone is produced in the ovaries. Two ways we can use hormones to control fertility is the contraceptive pill or IVF, two opposites there. Gamete is a sperm or an egg cell. Genes are in charge of controlling our characteristics. And the glands secrete, which means like gives off or lets out things like sweat or hormones. And the pituitary gland is in the brain. A herbicide will kill plants. And a hormone is a regulatory chemical that triggers action in cells or tissue. An infectious disease is a disease that is spread easily through air or water. A pathogen is a disease carrying microorganism. And a toxin is a poison that is produced by something that is living. Insulin controls blood sugar. And it's produced in the pancreas. If somebody is malnourished, it's because they don't get enough food or enough of the right type of food. And on the opposite side, if somebody is obese, it's because they're eating too much. Leprosy is a contagious disease that affects the skin and nerves. The metabolic rate is how fast the body uses energy. And MRSA is an antibiotic resistant superbug. Neurons are specialist cells that will transmit electrical signals. A synapse is the gap between neurons. A predator is something that hunts or kills other animals. The CNS is the central nervous system, and the CNS is the spinal cord and the brain. Homeostasis is all about maintaining a constant internal environment. And the things that need to be controlled by homeostasis are body temperature, blood sugar, the level of water, and ions in the blood. Population is the total number of individuals of the same species in an area, but a community is everything. Things that plants and animals compete for are food, water and space. An example of how a polar bear can adapt to its environment is its thick fur, its layer of fat, and its large feet. An example of how a cactus can adapt to its environment are the thorns, the fact that it holds lots of water, and the fact that it has these long, shallow roots to pick up water whenever it rains. Natural selection was Charles Darwin, and this says that a species has an increased chance of survival based on adaptations they make to their environment. The person that thought the characteristics developed over a lifetime could be parked onto offspring was Lamarck. Phototrophism is growing towards light. Geotrophism is growing towards gravity. Auxins are found at growing tips. And extremophiles are organisms that live at extreme conditions. Biomass is the total mass of a living material. Okay guys, the last few questions here. Where does the energy at the start of the food chain come from? It comes from the sun. In a food chain, energy can be wasted as respiration or as waste, so as urine or faeces. Photosynthesis is plants getting energy from the sun. And the equation for photosynthesis is, I'll just write it down here, carbon dioxide and water turns into glucose and oxygen. How does carbon from an animal or plant get back into the ground? That is going to be via waste or death, so waste again with urine or faeces. How does carbon from plants or animals get back into the air? That is going to be by respiration or burning. What is decay? That is the breaking down of something. And we can control the rate of decay by controlling the temperature, the oxygen level, or the water level. And finally, are you going to do amazingly well in your exam? Well, you've been working really hard to make it through this far of the video, so I really hope you do well, guys. Good luck.